audio was
So
awesome.
one of the sentences I had as kind of a placeholder for this section was, although I had a successful career, remembering that there is more than one way to arrive at a solution, I decided to leave my career at the end of 2019 to pursue new and different avenues of engaging with the world, solving problems, and finding meaningful ways to contribute. So
Something which is very important to me.
going in that direction, just need to kind of fill in the details, I think.
I thought what you wrote there is absolutely perfect, right, Beena? What's wrong with that?
Yes. Yes.
Well, I
Wow,
appreciate
that's
it.
fantastic. Oh, that's ridiculously fantastic.
I
That's very
appreciate it.
cool. Yeah. I mean, all like I said, I'd add something that was very important to me. Oh, now you're making it into a big deal, and he enabled you to do something which is excuse me, which is a very big deal to you. That's very cool. That says a lot for him.
Right.
That's really awesome.
You said something meaningful.
Uh,
Is that what you said?
Something really important to me.
Okay.
You already used the word meaningful, but in none of that paragraph there was the word important. I thought, unless I missed it.
Okay. All right. Well, I
Ah,
appreciate it.
two tweaks earlier. One was, hmm,
2010. Operations management has a solid foundation in mathematics, a subject in which at the time of my enrollment I had little natural ability or interest. Within the first few lectures, ouch, sorry. Mm. Within the first few lectures, I knew this class would be very challenging for me, but Dr. Nadj was able to take the core concepts of the curriculum and make them applicable to our lives from a larger perspective. This helped me see and understand the material in a completely different way. For example, solving a word problem involved much more than simply reading a prompt and performing a few calculations.
sorry, Erica.
Right.
Without that, I surely would have failed for something like that. See what I mean? Just to add that why this was helpful in what.
By using all of the information gathered to build a plan and reach a solution.
Okay, so you mentioned three core skills there, right?
Mhm.
You don't have to say three, but you can maybe mention that these core skills have greatly helped me ever since, or something like that. Helped me in my life and my career, right?
Right.
Just to make a mention that it wasn't just in the course that you found it useful. They transcended, these core skills transcended the course and continue to be useful to this day.
The next sentence is talking about how those is what he called life
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
skills,
Sorry. Okay. Never mind me then. Never mind me then. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry,
but
sorry, sorry.
I
Okay.
can, let's see.
No, no, no. It's cool then. If you talk in the next sentence. Yeah. I enjoy this letter, right, Beena?
Yes.
It's a nice letter. Got a good
Yeah.
mood to it. It's a pleasure to listen to,
Well,
Erica.
I appreciate it. It's
Yeah,
certainly gone
cool.
through the ringer in terms of being reworked about a million times. Getting there, it's getting closer.
Ah, that's art.
Um,
Yeah, keep going.
My mother, sometimes she has said twice now that this is going to be worthless because Dr. Nadj is just going to get a job before I get it done.
Yeah. Well, maybe you'll leave that one and use it for the next job.
There you go. So, nitty nitty boo boo. Oh dear. Okay. So, should I keep? Were there other things?
Yeah. Keep going from there. Yeah, after the strategizing. Yeah, please.
So yeah, I had the three things, and Dr. Nadj used every opportunity to elevate the course material from something applicable in a limited context to what he referred to as life skills. And through this approach, I began to see the larger value hidden in everyday challenges. So I made a note to add something about the life skills.
Yeah, like you continue to use them. They're stuff that you actually still use today. That's very significant, and that you not just use them, but they're valuable to you, and they make a difference. Yeah.
Okay, so then, while operations management was required for my degree, I elected to attend Dr. Nadj's managerial. Do you have something, or are you just?
Yeah, right there, Dr. Nadj's managerial something, which was not required. It was that not required that I thought was important there. It wasn't required, and you told us it's not required, but it might not be immediately obvious to others who don't know this.
Well, I mean, I said I elected to attend. Doesn't that imply?
All right. I guess so. But
No.
all right. I guess academics will know what you mean, but somebody in the job may or may not. I know it's redundant, but I'd rather err on the side of caution if it was me.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Think of how to say that in a way that
well, you can take out elected and say I chose to do this, which was not required. Even though it was not required, simply because of Dr. Nadj's teaching style.
Right. Well, and I'm trying to remember. I could say I chose that class as an elective, but I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. Oh, then you can say I chose it as an elective specifically because. Yeah.
I'm not sure what I'm trying to think about. I don't remember how they designated electives.
Well, never mind. Just say, and I chose to do this course, which I didn't necessarily need to do, but I chose it specifically because of Dr. Nadj.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about how to say that.
Or maybe just tack it on the end of that sentence, the way you've got it now, to say, I specifically chose to do this course because of Dr. Nadj. Right. You're saying chose, which implies you didn't have to, right?
Right. I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure out how to say that without it sounding totally ridiculous.
Yeah. And again, you have to say because of Dr. Nadj's teaching style, not because of Dr. Nadj. That could sound like you got a crush on him.
Okay. So while operations management was required for my degree, I elected to attend Dr. Nadj's managerial decision theory course the following year. It was being held several days a week on a separate campus. I was taking a full course load and working a job that semester, but I was eager to continue studying under Dr. Nadj, as I had already seen how his teaching methodology extended well. I arranged my other classes and shifts at work to accommodate the extra time spent in travel in order to attend.
Excellent.
Dr. Nadj often acknowledged the complexity and difficulty of the material being taught in managerial decision theory. He encouraged each of his students to continue pressing forward despite the challenge, offering support and guidance to us in a variety of ways. The most impactful for me was his deliberate emphasis on the effort he made in practicing appropriate decision theory, rather than on our ability to quickly reach a correct answer. For example, rather than grading tests solely on the answers at which we may or may not eventually arrive, Dr. Nadj encouraged us to write out our thought processes and the path we took toward a solution to each problem on our tests. and would include these efforts in his grading system. This approach motivated me to continue working toward understanding and mastery of the difficult concepts we were being taught, allowing me the freedom to make mistakes in the process. It released the pressure I felt throughout much of my academic career to maintain an illusion of perfection through rapid mastery of a subject, and instead enabled me to explore and experiment, to enjoy the challenge of tackling difficult problems, and to get the wrong answer, or sometimes never reach one in the allotted time, but to continue practicing. This proved to be a fantastically useful and valuable shift in understanding and approach for me from a larger life perspective. Another of my mentors later shared their definition of practice as implementation despite reservation. I believe the courage needed to take such action comes from a certain self-trust and confidence, which some are fortunate enough to come by naturally, but others reach when given an opportunity to experience persistent improvement despite failure in a supportive environment. And I have gone back and forth on the word failure in that sentence and tried to find a different word or something. It's not exactly what I mean. Like improvement, it's not necessarily just
let's hear the sentence again.
Way to word it. I believe the courage needed to take such action comes from a certain self-trust and confidence, which some are fortunate enough to come by naturally, but others reach when given an opportunity to experience persistent improvement despite failure in a supportive environment.
Despite setbacks, maybe?
Yeah, I think I put like missteps or something. I like.
Yeah, missteps is even better than setbacks. Yes.
I had missteps, and then I was like, but
put them both. Put setbacks and missteps.
Yeah.
Setbacks or missteps. Put them both. I would also make a note there where you say about the confidence and that to say someone that does not such as me after. Well, this was me, and then carry on. Just a little that you're tying it to you because you said, I believe in you, making a general statement. And just personalize it that you were one of those people who had
such actions comes from a certain self-trust and confidence, which some are fortunate enough to come by, but others, such as myself, reach.
Exactly.
Okay.
Perfect. Because now you're really directly tying it to that. Hey, he helped you in your personal life through his teachings. That's very cool.
True. I like it. Okay, so Dr. Nadj created just such a supportive academic environment, which encouraged diligence, discernment, persistence, perspective shifting, and thinking outside of the box. The confidence I gained in myself and my ability to conquer difficult challenges during this process has served me well in the more than 10 years that have passed since being in his classroom. And I had a big chunk in there that I took out because it was just getting too wordy.
Yeah.
I kind of stuck in. That was one of the last things I added yesterday before I called it quits. So I may reword some of that, but there was a big section in there where I kept talking about, well, he gave his students the freedom to do this and do that and whatever, and it just was too much, and I felt like I was
you don't need more than this. By the way, did it serve you well or did it serve you very well?
Let's see.
Because you mentioned a whole bunch of really profound power terms there,
right.
And those are big deals. So to just say served you well, it's like, but served you very well. Oh, okay. It's just a little extra there because it served you very well, didn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so one of the things I've struggled with is figuring out how to say. So the next paragraph I had was, after graduation, I embarked on a nearly 10-year career in information security. This field is generally dominated by a certain type of person: male, intelligent, introverted, analytical, and methodical, and often engaging in the evaluation and reverse engineering of the latest exploit or hacking methodology for fun in their free time, which was legitimately like virtually everyone I worked with, these people
Yeah.
did this
Yeah.
for fun in their free
Yeah.
time. Go home and work on the stuff. And I'm
Right.
like, so
Right.
much.
Right. Not something I did.
Right. That's what. So
Again, you need to put that in there, right?
I'm trying to figure out now. You know, I've gotten to that point, and I'm okay. How do I say in a way that doesn't make it sound like I'm not trying to be like self-deprecating. I'm not trying to say, you know.
Right. Just you can just say not part of my life.
Right.
This was not part of my life, or this is not part of my life.
Yeah.
Right. That's an important statement because you succeeded in a career field where you don't have a natural inclination. You're not a geek about it, like those are all hacker geeks, as well as security.
Well, so yeah.
You just did well. Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to figure out how to say. So I had kind of tentatively, I had like as a right-brained extroverted woman, which is not, I'm really not, I'm kind of an ambivert, but I think it makes more sense to highlight the type of people that we are talking about are like the most extremely introverted people that I've
yeah. There may be a better way of doing this, or simpler. Describe the guys and say, well, myself, I was pretty much somewhat close to the opposite of this.
Right.
That's it. Just leave it right there. Right. You don't have to say what you are. You can just say, well, I was none of these things. Right? That's it.
I like that.
You have to say what you are, but it's important that you were not that. You weren't a geek, you weren't a hacker, you weren't the stuff, right? Well, I was none of these things. Yet I succeeded anyway.
Yeah.
Right? In large part due to Dr. Nadj's excellent teaching. That's a very powerful statement, right?
Right. Okay, I like that.
Right. I mean, if I Dr. Nadj and I see that on an employer, holy moly.
Yeah.
If they know of that field, they know that field is dominated by geeks. I mean, your polite way of saying that they were geeks and you were not. You've already said that math wasn't your deal, right? So you're not a geek, you know. You can even say a field dominated by geeks, which I'm certainly not.
I like it.
Right. You can absolutely say that because people can relate, you know, and say, and yet I succeeded. And that's the key. And yet I succeeded. In large part due to, of course, it's not only him, but in large part due to Dr. Nadj's excellent teaching. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have.
Then his teaching style as well.
Right.
Excellent teaching and teaching style. They're supposed to combine, right?
So I had in here the concepts that I was sort of trying to get across were about, you know, I found myself once again faced with the challenge of mastering skills which did not come naturally to me. And then something about the environment. I mean, one of the things that is so challenging about information security is, I mean, anything in the computing realm is a fast-paced. I mean, it's the environment is
ever changing.
And so, you know, not just, well, I master this skill and then I, you know, I have, you know, I'm going to use this particular program for the rest of my life. So once I've mastered I'm good. It's things are constantly changing. So it's not
a fast-paced, ever-changing field in which constant relearning was required or is required.
Yeah.
You can make it short, like constant evolving field.
You say constantly evolving?
Constantly evolving field, yeah. But it's ever changing. It's not. It's a different. It's ever evolving, but the ever change is the deal. That you got to relearn it all constantly. So yeah.
Okay.
Evolving constantly.
It is evolving, Beena. It is accurate, but it's to convey that it all changes. A thing can evolve, and it can be gradual. and you can just add on a new learning to it, right? But this is everything changes, and you got to relearn everything. So that's the key point here, right? That Erica was constantly forced to
Oh,
relearn. See?
ID
Yeah,
is
yeah,
for evolve. Okay.
yeah. It's quite radical, because they come with a new protocol. Oh, bloody hell! Well, now you got to start all over from scratch and relearn everything because, well, somebody decided to change the
Right.
protocols or whatever.
Um,
Let's say, for instance, Beena, you thought your security system was safe. What do you do when you discover that it was hacked? You know for a fact it's not safe. You have
Okay.
to redesign the entire security system.
Okay, so because I was in IT before, so I thought that
Mm,
in general, IT is always constantly evolving, but
mm,
constantly changing
yeah.
is a different, yes, because
Mm.
I was not in security, I was system analysis.
Yes, security is a little different, right? Right. Like I said, you see,
Yeah.
you in regular IT, okay, things are evolving. There's new things that come and it grows. But in
Mhm.
IT, the moment you get hacked, your entire operation is now null and void, and you have to start all over again, right?
Well, and
That's radical change.
one of the things
Yeah.
I stuck in here as a potential to say, but hadn't figured out how to say it yet, was that security for me, and one of the things I didn't like about it, especially when I was doing incident response, was that on top of the constant change, everything else, and the difficulty of what we were doing for me. I mean, it is difficult, but especially for me, poring over these logs and trying to pick out these little details and put them together. I mean, it was like you're staring at your screen, all day and trying not to miss something. It was
I am inordinately amazed, confounded, confabulated, and my brain is scrambled at how you even did this job. Never mind, did it successfully.
extremely difficult. But one of the things that I really didn't like about, especially incident response, was on top of doing all of doing all of these really like very specific tasks that required all this crazy concentration and relearning things and whatever, you're also operating within a very high stakes environment because
Yes. Yes.
especially, I mean, I remember being scared out of my mind when Williams was going through what turned out to be a botched takeover, basically a hostile takeover from a different company. And
Wow.
it threw everybody into a total tizzy, especially IT, because the guy who owned the other company had already said, we will be consolidating our IT department. And so basically all the people from Williams are going to be cut unless you're deemed like an absolutely critical person. So everybody is just like, freaking out. And so we wound up in a period of like a couple of months. The security team went from a team of 30 people to a team of like 12.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
it was less than half.
Wow.
We lost almost everybody, all but one senior person on our team. So all of the people we had, like the boss that hired me had been at Williams working in information security and had worked his way up, and he'd been there for 18 years at the time. I think the lead engineer on our team had been at Williams for like 20 years, and he's one of the most brilliant people that I've ever worked with. We had some really fantastic senior level people on our team, and they all left except for one guy. And so within a matter of months, we went from this really robust team that like really kicked butt and worked really well together to a team of people that were scared out of their mind. Everybody that was left was like, well, I'm going to get fired in a couple months. So, and none of us knew what we were doing. I mean, they didn't, because we were getting ready to go through this, they kept calling it a merger, but it was a hostile takeover. we didn't have any go ahead to hire additional backfill for the people that left. So we had to, all of us that were left had to recoup all of the things that the people who left had been working on. So in the middle of all this craziness, I went from, when I started my career, I was doing like identity related things. So password related stuff, identity protection, Active Directory, mostly focused on identity related security. And then my boss said, I don't want you to get sort of pigeonholed into